Today we're going to start off with Job 38:12-18. Have you commanded the morning since your days begun, and caused the dawn to know its place, that it might take hold of the ends of the earth, and the wicked be shaken out of it? It takes on form like clay under a seal, and stands out like a garment. From the wicked their light is withheld, and a braced arm is broken. So right there, that scripture is still pointing out to me that the earth has ends, and that it's immovable because it will be shaken, and also that its form is like clay under a seal. So I would think as like a ring, if you would think of a sealed ring that has a seal on it, and you would stamp it down into clay, you'd have upraised areas and things like that. That is how I would depict our lands would be, is stamped in. All right, and the next one is Isaiah 11:12. He will set up a banner for the nations, and will assemble the outcast of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. So right there again, it's still telling me that there's four corners of the earth.
Wait. Isaiah what? 11:12?
11:12. What is yours?
Okay, no. Oh, okay, all right.
Got it?
I got it.
Okay. All right. Revelation 7:1-2. And these things I saw four angels standing at the four corners of the earth, holding the four winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, on the sea, or in any tree. Then I saw another angel ascending from the east, and having the seal of the living God. And he cried with a loud voice to the four angels to whom it was granted to harm the earth and the sea. So there again, in the end, whenever he gives the commandments to the angels, they're coming from the four corners of the earth. And then we have 1 Chronicles 16:28-30. All right. 1 Chronicles 16:28-30. Give to the Lord, O families of the people. Give to the Lord glory and strength. Give to the Lord glory due his name. Bring an offering and come before him. O worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness. Tremble before him, all the earth. The world also is firmly established, and it shall not be moved. So right there, he's saying that he established the earth, and it cannot move. So therefore it's not flying in outer space, because he's saying it shall not be moved, which he says multiple times in multiple scriptures. Also, it mentions 3 times in the Bible that the earth does move. We're going to go to Isaiah 13:11-13.
So you're saying it moves, or it
You're
doesn't
saying 3
move?
times it does?
3 times it does move, and I'm going to explain why.
Okay.
So everything else, he says it's fixed and immovable. But in Isaiah and 2 other chapters, it says why it will move. Isaiah 13:11-13. I will punish the world for its evil, and the wicked for their iniquity. I will halt the arrogance of the proud. I will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. I will make a mortal more rare than fine gold, a man more than gold wedges of Orphan. Therefore I will shake the heavens, and the earth will move out of her place, and the wrath of the Lord hosts in the day of his fierce anger. So there was one time that he moved the earth shook, and that's when Jesus died on the cross. Another time is whenever he's saying in Revelations that the world will be shaken at the end, and then here in Isaiah it's saying at the end that the world will be shaken again. So that is the 3 times that I found that that's the only time that the earth has moved. Other than that, it's fixed. And there went the phone. Colin, turn around. Don't stop it.
Alright, that was 11 and who again?
11 through 13.
3 through 13?
11 through 13.
3:13? 11, 3:13.
Isaiah 13,
Right.
11 through 13.
11 through 13, okay.
Okay, and that's going to be the end of the scriptures for today. I want to start off with this picture. This is all the depictions that we had of the world before we were given our NASA globe. So Hebrews, the Indians, the Messes, the Greeks, these are all their depictions, their drawings of how they perceived Earth, the planet, to be.
So there's a time frame on that.
You'd have to look each individual picture up separately to be able to get each of their, when they drew these pictures.
So you got the Incas, the Hebrews, the Mayans, the Romans, the Egyptians, the Greeks, Navajo. Where you get that from? The Vikings.
You see the Vikings? Oh, okay.
Alright.
So that's past pictures of what we have. So pretty much today I'm going to go through the historical part of everything. I added this in there, it was John Calvin. He said, "We will see some who are deranged, not only in religion, but in all things revealed, their monstrous nature, that they will say the sun does not move, and that it is in the earth which shifts and turns. When we see such minds, we must indeed confess that the devil possesses them, and that God sets them before us as mirrors in order to keep us in his fear." This is something that Nikola Tesla quoted. "Earth is a round and is not a planet. It is not an object, therefore it has no edges. Earth would be more easily defined as a system environment. Earth is also a machine. It is a Tesla coil. The sun and moon are powered wirelessly with an electromagnetic field, the ether. This field also suspends the celestial spheres with electromagnetic levitation. Electromagnetic levitation disproves gravity because the only force you need to counter in the electromagnetic force is not gravity. The stars are attached to the firmament." That's by Nikola Tesla.
So Tesla's telling you that there's no gravity. There's no such thing as gravity.
Correct.
What we got pulling us down is not gravity.
Correct.
It's some type of electromagnetic field.
Field of ether.
And there's no such thing as a planet.
Correct. That would be a wandering star.
Who, we are one of the stars?
No, we are not moving.
Yeah, no, I thought you said there's no planet though.
No planets.
Right.
The ones that they call planets are wandering stars. They just move around. They're the only ones that move. The other ones are fixed and aren't moving. That's how we get our constellation.
Stars that don't give light.
No, they give light.
They give light. From where?
They're stars. They give their own light.
They're not bright lights. They're not lights. They're
When
not
we
bright
look,
like
when
the
we
sun.
look at Mars,
Yeah.
it looks like a star.
Yeah, when we look at it from here. Yeah.
Just
So it's not a planet. They're lying about it's a planet.
correct.
And it's not round.
Correct.
So it's not a star. It's like a flat thing. What is Mars?
Don't put that right there.
Is it flat?
It's round.
It's round.
What, Mars is round?
But it's not spherical round. It's not solid round.
But it's a
flat.
It's not a planet.
It's not a planet.
It's a star. So we're the only planet or whatever we are. What are we?
We are a flat
A flat what? What would you call us? That we're not a planet. There's no such thing as a planet, right?
There's
so what
such
is
thing as
Earth?
planet.
So what is Earth? It's a flat world? What do you call it then? I mean, just a world?
People call it flat Earth. Some people call it,
So Pluto and all that and then
she says it's like a donut. Some people say it's like on a turtle's back, a turtle shell.
So where do they move at? Pluto and them? So they are organized in a circle? They move?
We're not talking about stars today. That's next week.
Alright.
Really.
I'm talking about like the solar system. Like
Yeah, right,
Alright,
so.
we'll get to that.
Okay, cause I wanna know what Pluto and them are, if they stars,
Here, I'll
right?
show you some stars.
Alright.
That's what I was showing him earlier. There's some stars. So they're round, but then they're not round. See how they're kinda all different shapes? All different lights, constantly changing. Just balls of gas and light, that's all they are.
But you talking about it now, I can't. I'm
just
trying to
showing you a
understand,
picture of
alright,
it.
that's what it is, though.
But I'm not going into scientific right now. I don't have anything on me and I'm not gonna speak on
Then
it.
what is the sun is not a star,
No,
the sun is
the
a
sun
light.
gives on its own, all the
Right,
light.
and they don't go around the sun then.
With them.
The planets,
stars?
them fake, them
The
stars,
stars in the
yeah, alright,
firmament,
okay,
they
that's
don't
all
go
I
around
know.
anything.
We going to
Well, that's what a star is though, a sun, a burn, like, that's what the sun is, a star. And what's a star?
If you were here last week, you would have heard that. We
Well, the
were
football,
here,
man,
but
I
you
was
were
watching
watching
the
a
football
football
game.
game. Oh, wow.
The sun
You
is
should've
not
stayed in the room
the
with
sun
us.
is in the firmament.
The sun is inside the firmament.
It's not
God
a
said,
sun,
we
yeah.
went over what God said the sun was, and it gives off its own light. The moon is its own separate entity.
My only
Okay.
question is, why all the deception?
I believe that there's all the deception because they don't want you to know who your creator is. The
Right.
whole point of Earth, of being here, is because of Lucifer, because he was a fallen angel. And God wanted him to say, okay, well, if you think you could do better and you can run this world, we'll go ahead and do it and see if you can deny people from me. And he's trying to do that. So everything that they're gonna do here, everybody who's in cahoots with this and started this are all Luciferians. They're all into scientism. They don't follow our God. They're here to disprove creation and our God. They're here to disprove that Jesus was God's son.
So to get the whole world to deceive.
To be deceived and believe that there's science, to believe that there's planets, that there's other life forms, that there's all these other things which science can prove on their theories that they haven't been able to prove, but it all takes away from the word of Yahuwah right here.
Well,
So if you believe in those things, you're gonna think that there's no point, you know?
There's no
What do you-
if I was to find out for a fact that the earth was flat and there had no planet, that wouldn't change my faith in what I believe in God.
Well, that's good. Some people it won't. Some people
I don't
it
think, well,
will.
why would it make a difference?
Some people who sit there and believe that there is no God and then find out, oh wait,
It would make
I
it,
have a creator, there's somebody who created us, I am special, there is a reason for me being
I would
here.
feel like people lied to me, not God. God never.
Right?
you
Well,
said in the Bible,
devil
it
works
said-
through people.
Oh yeah.
So the people, of course, are gonna lie to us to still be able to deceive us.
Yeah, I don't think it make a difference. It's like, well, it is what it is. What I'm gonna do about it?
it'll make a difference because, alright, if God's saying it's flat and science saying it's round, and let's see if it's round.
Yeah,
Or if it's flat, it definitely ain't gonna make a difference, cause you know he's telling the truth. But let's say if it's round,
right.
then that would make God a liar.
Mm-hmm.
That make that he's not really true and all powerful. Like
How
you say,
does
if
it-
he lied about that, he'd
How's
make
it
what
making
Joseph
God
lying
a
about.
liar? How's it making God a liar?
Well, if the world is round,
How's it making God a liar? That's
Because
what
they're
I'm
Well,
telling us one thing,
cause it's saying the
and then we
scripture saying
see
it's flat.
How
another.
does it make God a liar? You're not telling me. You're not
I
answering.
just told you.
Because one thing, he says, God says it's fixed and immovable. They're telling us we move 66.
You're getting this out of this book right here, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Correct.
Lies
Now-
and deception.
Now,
If
I'm
you
not
think
gonna
the
go
Bible's
too
lies.
much
There's
into
lies
it.
and deception in this book.
I'm not gonna go.
There is deceptions in the new book, correct.
I'm not gonna.
So what can you believe?
That has not changed. That has not changed whatsoever. What has changed is people being taken out of it. It only mentions Enoch one time. All of Enoch's information has been taken out of it. So then it doesn't tell you your seasons and everything.
So there's deception right there.
Yeah.
That's why I say you have to have
So what
discernment with
can
all things.
you
He says
believe?
test all things.
What can you believe?
You
You
have
can
to have
believe
faith.
this.
You got to have faith.
You gotta have faith.
So you can't believe what you got, what's
Yeah,
in
you
there.
can. You can
Yeah,
believe
you can
that.
definitely believe.
You can believe some of the stuff, but not all the
You
stuff.
can believe all of it.
pretty much all of it.
All
You
of it.
can believe pretty much all of it, even though they leave out some stuff.
The other
You have to be
it's-
able to
you're
seek
not
that
making
stuff.
sense.
I mean,
It's in other
complete
books.
sense.
You're not making complete
He
sense.
says to seek truth in all things. So if you know that there's other books, yeah, I didn't say this book was it. Some people say this is it and that's all you need and there's nothing else.
Well,
I don't say that.
that's what you bought, and that's what you pointed at when I asked you.
Well,
Oh,
basically, when you
it
say
doesn't-
this, you're
not
talking
that
about
guy.
you're talking about the other books too. Well,
It doesn't make, it's not a reliable resource.
What,
They take stuff out of it, retranslate it.
That's why it says to seek and find more
It is a
information.
reliable resource.
So
It
you
just
need to
says
see.
just different
This
translations.
book by itself is not reliable.
If it's,
Yeah, it is.
if it's deceiving, it ain't a reliable resource.
It's not deceiving. It's not deceiving. They saying it's deceiving. I'm saying it's not. I'm saying that.
I think you just,
Man.
I don't think it's made to be taken literally. Like when they talk about the four corners of the earth,
Some things
that's an
are-
expression like.
Some
you
things
know what
are
I
not
mean?
meant to be literally. Some
Some
things
things
are pathetic,
Some
and some things are just parables or like stories, and they talking about a real thing, but it's giving you like in a story or allegory. But
So
that doesn't mean
a
that
lampstand and
everything
olive
is
tree,
meant to
that's
be.
that would be something that they're not physically
But-
talking about because that's an actual group of people.
But yes, it's a literal book, and things are literal. But you just gotta understand some things. You gotta understand pathetic words, the
You gotta have
language
discernment.
and things. They got different language, the meaning of the words and things, and like I said, the parables.
Right, well, that's why I'm saying you can't, take it all.
Well, you
literal.
can't take, we can't take it all literal, but I mean, it's literal, then things are gonna happen. I mean,
Right.
you know, it's better. Like, I mean, let's say the world coming to end, or such and such gonna happen, but it give you a pathetic way, some pathetic words like some beasts and certain things. You gotta understand what they mean, but that doesn't mean that what they say gonna happen ain't gonna happen. It's just that the understanding of how it's gonna happen, you will have to study, you will have to know. It's for the meek and the humble, and for the one seeking righteousness.
Right.
No,
Correct.
it confuses the wise and the ones that don't humble themselves and think they know everything.
Yeah.
It confuses them. It's meant for the common person, or the person that's seeking truth or whatever, the humble person. So
Well, I don't know.
yeah.
Cause I'm real humble, that's why, I don't have to, it really don't matter to me, but, cause I know what I believe, I think the only thing that matters, really, when it comes down to it, is just having faith in God. All that other stuff's extra stuff. Man.
That's the devil saying.
And
That's what he wants you to believe. No, there's a difference. All right, I'm not gonna go into the flat earth because she knows more about that than me. But as far as like
to me,
Sunday
I
and
ain't got
Saturday,
nothing to do with
that is a big
believing in
deal.
it.
That's Saturday and Sunday. I'm just gonna be quick because I don't want to take away from your time. Like Saturday and Sunday worship, that's a big deal. So people say, hey, what does it mean? As long as I believe in God, because
Keep his covenant.
because that's what God you're serving. If you're a Sunday worshiper, you're serving. Made your alliance with Satan. If you're a Sabbath keeper, you're making your alliance with God. I'll explain all that to you later at a different time. But it do make a difference in what you believe and because it makes the Bible out of a liar and certain
You
things.
can't do it, let us know.
But that's all.
Then let us
I
know.
didn't mean to take time. Go ahead.
Okay. Alright. Well, I'm gonna start off. I kinda tried to do a timeline of things. So I went all the way back to 293 BC. That's with the sundial when it was invented. and then 1410, the Prague clock was invented. Then in 1473 to 1543, we had Nicholas Copernicus. Nicholas Copernicus was a mathematician and astronomer, and he made the model of the theory universe. That is one person that people follow now. Nicholas Copernicus was also into Luciferian and possibly into Masonry, being a Mason. Then after
His uncle was a pope.
okay, yeah, that's
His
true.
uncle was a pope. That's when he was the one that, when he came up with this idea of the round earth, his uncle wanted him to spread that around the world. That the Catholic Church is the one that spread the round earth. They're behind the round earth, the Luciferians in the Catholic Church. Well, go ahead.
Right. All right, and then 1509 to 1564, we had John Calvin. John Calvin was a pastor, a theologian, and a reformer. He also believed that the earth was flat. Then in 1696, we had our lighthouse. Then after that, in 1728 to 1779, we had James Cook. James Cook, as some heard earlier on video, he was a captain, he was a navigator, and he was an explorer. He made maps, and he did a navigation and expedition around Antarctica, the outer ring. Then after that came 1804 to 1882, was Charles Darwin. Charles Darwin was an English naturalist, a geologist, and a biologist. He was known for the science of evolution. He was also a Luciferian and possibly into Masonry. After that, in 1809 and 1891, we had Albert Pike. Albert Pike, we know, is the one who, let's see, what did I write down? He wrote Morals and Dogma. He was also the one who started the Free Scottish Rite Masonry groups that everyone now follows to this day. And he wanted people to also believe that I'm on a crossword on. I hear that he wanted people to believe that the earth was round, but in his books and in the Masonry books, it also does state that we're flat and movable and fixed. And then after that, in 1852, we had our gyroscope, which was created. So all of these different things that were created only can be done on a flat sphere. Then in 1831, we had Helena Blavatsky. She was a woman. She was also in cahoots with Aleister Crowley. She followed Charles Darwin and Nicholas Copernicus. She was also a Luciferian and wrote multiple books on seances and all kind of crazy stuff, everything that they do. Then after her, in 1854, we had the periscope that was created. Then in 1856, we had Nikola Tesla, which you heard Nikola Tesla's quote earlier, that he believed that the sun revolved around us, and that we were flat and that there was no gravity. All right, and then we have 1875 to 1947, Aleister Crowley. Aleister Crowley was an occultist, a ceremonial magician, and started his own religion. He was also a Luciferian and depicted the round earth. Then after that, we had a man named Auguste Piccard. Auguste Piccard, he was a scientist, an inventor and explorer. He invented the helium balloon. He went 10 miles up in 1931, and he recorded in his records that he's seen a flat disc with upturned edges. All right, and then I don't know much about the Marley experiment came out in 1887. I didn't get much information on that. But after that, in 1915, we come out with a company called NACA. That company is pretty much what NASA is now, but was different then. It was considered basically an only Russian company. You'd have to do some research on that. After that, in 1915, then Disney came out in 1923. Where's that one picture?
What's the significance of Disney coming out?
Disney has a huge significance in this because Disney and NASA are partners. They've been partners ever since the beginning. So let me get to that. Where did that picture go? Was it at the beginning?
So you going with the UFOs now?
No, she's saying that they're
No.
using Disney.
No, it's all the Nazi thing with they had a Nazi exploration something.
The
like
Russian
that.
exploration?
And they had the disc, they had a UFO.
That.
Yeah, disc. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, the secret Nazi polar
Yeah.
expedition,
Yeah.
that's when they went and they did their own expedition that was during their space race or whatever. Some people say that they were actually there before we were there, the military.
They were where?
They were on Antarctica
Oh,
before
yeah,
we
no.
were.
Oh.
Where is that picture? Okay, well, I lost the timeline.
Fishbowl.
Operation Fishbowl. So after Disney was created in 1923, Richard Admiral Byrd
There it is.
explores. There it is. You're right. Okay, so you have NACA founded, Disney founded. This is from ODV TV. Byrd starts exploring Antarctica in 1928.
Why not 12 and 13
12 and 13.
Apollos? You left them out.
This isn't my timeline, this is somebody else's.
Okay, with this one.
So I'm sure
And
those
then one
went
of
in
them was,
between, that would have been the
there was,
1970s. That would have been 1970.
Yeah, 11 and 12.
Yeah, they just,
I mean, 12
Figured
and
out the time.
13. Yeah.
12 and 13. So I made mine a little bit more elaborate on my timeline because I added in all of the operations. So on here, I'm basically giving you a timeline of history of when things were all a certain cosmology and the sun revolved around us instead of us revolving around the sun. So I'm showing you from the beginning of that time until the time we start peaking in the 1400s that we start getting a spherical Earth or a different conception of what it is.
Wait, the sun doesn't really evolve around us, it moves. It don't go like that, no. It goes like this or like this. Oh, it does go like this?
On top
The
of
sun?
us over us.
Well, then wouldn't it always be bright out if the sun was always above us, just circling?
Well, it's not circling above our heads like this, it ain't that little. It's circling really big across all the different lands.
Yeah, but if you're in the middle of the fishbowl,
We're
you're
not
at
in
the
the
same
middle.
distance away from it no matter what.
If you were in the middle, you'd see the sun all the time, 24-hour sunlight.
Okay, so where
But
are
we're
we
not
at?
in the middle,
Where are we at? Where would we be at?
right here. We live right there.
Who lives in the middle?
Nobody.
Okay.
That's
It's
it,
a wall?
that's North Pole.
That's a North Pole?
That's the North
So
Pole.
there's always light at the North Pole,
There's
but they
always
won't let
light.
us go there.
Correct. 24-hour sunlight.
Where's the 24 darkness?
Nowhere that I know of.
It says at the North Pole.
Underneath of
Yeah,
it,
So,
24
this flat
hours.
earth thing, what kind of footage we talking about?
to me.
You would, that would be all scientifical. We would have to go through that next week, or you can look up and research that.
Because it gotta be awfully a lot of footage here.
That's a lot of footage, correct. A lot more than what they're telling us, a lot more. They tell us that Australia is like this small on the map and it's one of the biggest
Like
countries.
23,000 miles.
It's saying that they say the exact curvature is 100 miles. It's how does it say that?
The circumference.
6,666 feet.
What?
Nah,
That's what
too-
they say.
How much?
Ain't no way.
Let's see.
6,600. That's a little. It's
No,
like
that's little.
a mile's
That's
5,200.
Let's
No, the
see.
Earth is that's not even Harvey's bigger than that. That's
All right, I don't know.
That's
That's
only
different.
that's only a little over. a
Oh,
mile.
that's when the curvature starts. When we
Oh.
should see the curvature.
At
It's
6,000 feet.
No.
Oh,
Yeah, feet. So once you hit 6,600, I don't know what the exact curvature, 20 mile.
Oh, okay, you're going up.
That's the
Oh, to
curvature.
see the curvature, that's when you should see it. 20 miles.
Let's see, I'm gonna find what
Yeah.
feet exactly, I think.
You said it,
According to, they say when
Oh,
they had
you said you got
80
evidence
feet,
when this guy went up the
40,
moon and
50,
he only went up.
60,000
Let's
feet.
see.
That's what the pilots say. If you, I don't know if
So it's every 8 inch per mile. So it's 0.666 feet. We should start receiving curvature.
So could it be possible that they looking at the flat Earth when they thinking they're seeing a round Earth? That they really looking at the flat Earth?
100%.
Yeah, and they saying they tricking us and telling us that it's. Well, you saying they're looking at a fish lens, but what matter what lens you're looking at if you're looking at a round? It's round flat, right?
Right.
All right, but they have 4 corners. The pillars.
Past the ice, right?
All right, past the ice. So he's taking the tribes of Judah and bringing them into the land from all the 4 corners. They're not coming from the 4 corners. They come from all the nations that's inside the ice wall, right?
Right.
So why are you saying the 4 corners? I don't know.
Well, they
That's what I'm
got
saying.
people
You
that
can't take it
live,
that literal.
Yeah.
they got people that live
Yeah,
on,
I guess you
in
can't
that
take
land,
Yeah, that
Antarctica.
part you can't take literal. I mean, what do you mean 4 corners? It just mean all over the world.
It's just an expression.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, it's 4 corners and there's people with inside the 4 corners and he's taking them.
So there's this ice wall.
What's beyond
And
that?
then on the other side of the ice wall is the giants and the better oil and all that. And it just how much of it? It's the corners.
What? What you talking about?
Wait a minute, on the other
You
side
said
of the ice wall.
according to you, that's what you told me. There's an ice wall.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
you said stuff in oil and something.
Giants.
That's what you told me. You
Not
told me
beyond
that's
the ice wall, no.
on the other side.
In Antarctica, all that is there in
I thought
Antarctica.
you said on the other side of the ice wall there's better stuff.
No, in Antarctica.
Oh, in Antarctica.
And on that land there,
On the
So-
ice wall.
So where
Okay.
Antarctica is located at?
Okay.
around us.
And there's giants and
You're
there's
saying that's what the ice wall
Yeah.
is.
Some people say that.
yeah, and there's better oil and better stuff.
There's supposedly everything that we need
Yeah.
there.
Okay.
Everything that we need here is there, supposedly.
So you can go to just about leave at any spot
And head south,
or north
or you'll hit the North Pole.
or west.
You'll hit it.
You can hit the North Pole, but you can go over the North Pole.
Any which way you sit
Any
there
which
and try
way
to
you go, you're gonna hit the ice
hit
wall.
the ice wall.
Right.
So how can that
Okay,
be
so-
Antarctica?
So how does that
How can
Antarctica?
it-
Antarctica is
one
supposed to be a
spot.
landmass.
Right.
That's what they said.
Oh, so you saying
So
Antarctica
It is
all
land
this-
mass, it's not land mass that's just sitting there in one little small
So
land mass. at the bottom.
anywhere, any
So this
position
is
you
Antarctica.
leave, you can hit Antarctica.
Correct.
Alright.
So what is the real Antarctica? I mean, the one that they claim. What is that? That's
is-
Antarctica, but then all this is Antarctica too? How was it?
What else do you see as Antarctica? Only
But
one
man-
thing on there is predicted as Antarctica in this picture, not 2.
Yeah, but you saying anywhere, all this is Antarctica.
That's
Yeah.
Antarctica. Which,
Oh, only this is Antarctica. So,
Right.
so they telling us a lie that just, like say, this is Antarctica right here.
Right.
Or something, that would be a lie.
right,
Why? And what they call that, then what is that
you
country?
answered
that
your
they
why
claim?
question before. You answered
No.
your own question.
All right, but what is the Antarctica that they talking about? What is it? Is it Antarctica? What do
It's a
you call it?
continent.
Yeah, but what do you call it?
Antarctica. What you mean?
Antarctica.
So it is Antarctica. So there's
You talking about the one on the globe?
No, there's only one Antarctica. You gotta.
You got look. You got
You stuck
You
on
see what
2
I'm saying?
pictures.
look. You got the Arctic and you got the Antarctica
Right,
on the
Okay.
globe.
right.
Uh,
But she's saying the one on the.
There's the North Pole
Right.
here and
Right.
the South Pole is here.
But it's not a South Pole.
I don't know.
No,
what's
that's
confusing.
according to the world and to the
Yeah,
to the,
cause
to
anyway,
the
you
round
quit,
world, the north is here and the south is here.
to the round world.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So,
Mhm.
on the round world,
Mhm.
Antarctica would be where?
South.
It's right here,
At the
south.
bottom, and the order
At the
could be
bottom.
up
Right.
here.
Right.
So, all right. So this would be Antarctica.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right, that's what I was asking. So there's two Antarctica. I'm saying they got this Antarctica here, and then you saying that this is Antarctica.
No,
I'm talking. Well, I'm
So-
talking about on your world.
They're
On your world.
basically
What
saying
What is
that
this? What
they're
is
lying
this?
about that. They're
That's
lying
what-
about
what
that
is
and that
that?
it's around.
it's,
I know, but what is that then?
well,
There's
let
still-
me answer, you're
there's
gonna
still-
let me answer, you're
yeah,
gonna
all
keep
right.
back to the same question
Okay, that's
over
what
and
I was.
over.
All right, yeah.
Alright,
What is it? Okay.
the only way for me to answer is for me to answer. You have to unconfuse yourself. For one, let me finish, you're confusing yourself,
Right.
okay? So,
Understand.
when you're asking a question about around Earth,
Mm.
you can't ask the same question about the flat Earth, because it's not the same answer. Because when you're looking at around Earth, this is what you have. When you're looking at a flat Earth, this is what you have. You have North Pole, look, right here.
Wait, I wanted to say.
You have North Pole,
Mhm.
you have South Pole.
Mhm.
You have North Pole, you have South Pole. So this little mass that they say down here, this continent down here,
Mhm.
isn't round and just down there. It goes all the way around us.
Right.
So it is not going to be a separate one here and then another one here, because that isn't what it is. It is around here.
All right.
So there's not two, there's only one.
All right. But all right. Let's look at this Earth here.
All right.
Now this explains it better. This will get it. All right. This is the flat Earth. But let's you say it's the round Earth. There's one. All right. The round Earth will have this south, the Antarctica, and this will have the north. But let's go about this flat Earth. All right. So this is the. That just still don't make sense. So this North Pole is in the middle instead of at the top of the flat Earth.
Correct. It can't be at the top of flat Earth, because then
So it's in
we
the
would have
middle.
ice here, and then we have our depiction how they give us.
So a
this,
flat
but on a
Earth, there's
flat
nothing
mountain.
here. So the Earth, this is the North Pole. This
North Pole, and then there's us all around it, and then there's an ice wall all around that. Nothing's changed.
Is, so why would this be the North Pole? All right, and this is nothing right here. All right, so this is the
Well, it's
Antarctica.
water. This is all water, so
Okay.
it's not nothing. It's
This
water
is all right. So
and
when,
ice.
all right. So how can this be Antarctica? This Antarctica. So you
That's
have this
not
is
Antarctica.
What is that then?
This is South America.
Well, Antarctica somewhere. All right, on the round Earth, this is Antarctica right here, somewhere down here.
On around Earth,
On
it's
around-
right here.
It's right here.
And the North Pole's up
That's
here.
different than the globe,
It's
so you
totally
can't.
Alright.
different. So you're
So-
asking a question that's impossible.
All right, so
to
how?
me.
That's what I'm saying. All right, so okay. Well, how this is the North Pole then? On this, how you got the North Pole but you don't have Antarctica? So Antarctica is around the whole
Around
world.
the whole world.
The South Pole is on around the whole world.
Around the whole world.
Well, they're trying to get you to
It's
see.
not a
it.
continent.
There's the deception in it,
Right.
all right? They
Right.
want you to believe that in order.
So this little part here is the North Pole, and then this Antarctica is around the whole world.
The ice around
Right.
all
So
around.
when they up in the air, they are when they say they gone, which they can't leave out the front of it. So when they up in miles up in the air
Mhm.
and they looking at the round flat Earth, they possibly mistaken it or they purposely lying and saying that this is a round world because it's round. It's still round, right?
It's not,
Even though
it's
flat.
not spherical though,
Yeah.
like a globe.
Right.
It's like a circle.
And not a perfect circle, because it's ice. It's a jaggedy edge wall all around it.
It looks perfect.
And I'm gonna show you pictures.
It's a- I
You're
mean,
looking
it's-
at a picture that somebody
It's
drew.
around then. So you're saying
And
it's
that's
not
their
perfect?
depiction, that's not mine. That's just their
So what
depiction
is
and
this?
drawing.
It goes up like this too, and it.
No,
Oh, that's just
that's
a photo.
somebody's picture.
Okay, alright.
That's not a picture that somebody went up and took in the sky. That's somebody that drew from their Bible verses.
Alright.
Okay,
So
so
it's round. It's round.
the point I'm trying to.
So you believe in the
The
flat
point I
Earth?
wanna make with this is that
No,
somebody drew
I don't
this,
believe in
right?
flat earth.
Correct.
And they're
Yeah,
trying to
believe in
convince
flat Earth?
somebody what?
They're not trying to convince somebody of
Why?
anything.
Well, if
The
they
person
drew
who
it-
created that map read their Bible and drew what they
So
they
if
got in
they
their Bible.
drew it and created this,
Mhm.
they're trying to convince somebody something. They're all.
Just trying to let you know what's true,
Okay, so that's convincing.
I guess. I'm
Would
gonna
you
draw
say that's
mine.
convincing? So,
I'm not out here to try to convince people, I'm just out here to try to let people know truth
well,
and
what I'm trying to get you to
understand
see
where they
is,
live.
what I'm trying to get you to see is that
Mhm.
you're gonna run across a lot of pictures like this. You say that's not a complete
Tons.
representation.
You're gonna come across millions of people's
Right,
depictions.
Right,
Right.
All kind of different depictions.
right.
You don't go off of that. You don't go by
So
what
what
somebody else
What you,
depicts.
what you going off of?
You go off of your own personal belief and
So
mind.
that's the go.
So
okay.
I know.
The way the Bible describes it.
Then
That's
that
how
means-
it
Off the
goes.
way the Bible describes
Okay,
it.
that's
The
what
Bible
I
only talking about
So,
four corners.
The Bible doesn't describe that there's multiple domes, so why would you use multiple domes?
The Bible's only talking about four corners. That's the only thing that.
That's what we read today. That's just what we read
That's
today.
what we read today. They got
So
pillars.
the Bible gonna
they got
actually
pillars.
tell. Wait a minute.
Okay.
Wait a minute. So the Bible's gonna actually tell you that you actually living on a flat earth.
One Bible tells you that it says the word flat.
And what
Only
Bible is
one.
that?
That's the Matthew Bible. We pulled that up last
The
week
Matthew
too.
Bible.
The book of Matthew or the Matthew Bible?
No,
I never heard of the Matthew Bible.
me neither until I pulled up the information.
Well, I ain't gonna believe the only Bible that.
But it says, all right, they do talk about there's a firmament over it, but it don't say it's.
No, that's why we went
What are you
over the
talking about
scriptures.
in Genesis?
Yeah, it talk about the
Genesis says
firmament.
it
It
over
talk
and
about
over.
the water on top of the firmament, and it talk about the water underneath the firmament.
It
And
talks
the
about a
water
lot of
that's
stuff
in
in Genesis that we
Right.
don't understand.
So if you draw it in your mind, then you
Talks
would have to
about a
come
lot of
up
stuff
with
in
the.
Genesis that we don't
Yeah.
understand.
What you mean?
Yeah, I don't understand everything in Genesis.
What don't you
Nobody
understand?
does.
Jessica?
I don't know.
Huh?
I understand everything in Genesis.
The first story in the Bible, I don't understand. Because if an Adam and Eve had two sons and all of a sudden they had wives, where
They had
did it
twins,
come
other
from?
books were taken out. Cain had a twin, and Abel had a twin, and they married each other's twins. If you read the life
Well,
of
how
Adam
they have
and
it?
Eve,
Where'd they get a twin from?
Adam and Eve had they had a set of twins, a boy and a girl. Then they had another set of twins, a boy and a girl.
Well, why wouldn't they talk about that?
Because they didn't know how to explain that's why you have to follow other books as well. They didn't know how, the Catholic Church didn't know how to explain to people.
No, I wouldn't say
That they had
they wanted to
incest.
deceive people.
Because they didn't want people to sit there and be like, oh, so God was okay with incest, and have to explain it to the people at, well, let's see,
Well,
let's figure out
yeah,
to create
yeah.
more
I don't think you
people.
have to explain anything when you're talking about the beginning.
Yeah.
It's the beginning.
I know.
Why would you need to explain anything like that?
Ask the Catholic Church. Ask the people who set up that book right there. That's
You
the
still
Roman
believe-
Catholics that set
Still
up
believe
that
in the
book.
book.
I told you, I believe this book. Do you not believe your Bible? You don't believe your Bible? No, why not?
So what you believe?
There's so much lies and deception in here.
It depends on how much knowledge or wisdom that you have from all the other books. You can't just read that book.
I'm just talking about this book.
Me reading this book, I had a million questions. I was confused since I
Come
was
over
7
here and
years
say
old.
that.
And
Go over there and say that.
Why?
what?
I just want you to go over there and say that.
Why?
Just do it.
Oh, because of the camera?
Yeah. Go over there and say
He
that.
wanted you on camera.
Oh, I'm not.
He said that's why
Yeah,
he's hiding in the
of
corner.
course.
Yeah, cause I'm on it too. I didn't want to be on it, but I did.
You moved. Mhm.
Yeah, I know. It's too late now.
All right. Well, let's get back where we're going. All right. So right now we're gonna go through a timeline still, history. Since I know we always get off point, but we all so excited, want to know so much information, and there's so much information. It's really gonna take forever.
Well, it's gonna
depending
be
on-
mind-boggling, especially when you start thinking about, well, because they did this, then why would they do that? And because I'm thinking that the U.S. Government
Mhm.
paid so many billions of dollars to the space program.
Billions upon billions.
What happened to all that
Just
money?
for one, that's what I'd like to know. What do they actually do with all that money? Is it for more weapons, for more nuclear weapons, for more power, more
Just
money
for
in
the
their
space,
pockets?
the space war, the space ain't they trying to create a space force?
Oh, they already created the Space Force. We
They
already have a
did
Space
that. They
Force.
just trying to tell us that they just
a
start.
space what?
Space
But they've been
Force.
there, right?
As of 2 or 3 months
Space
ago,
Force.
we have a Space Force. We have the UN,
Yeah, they
the
are.
National
Yeah,
Space
like,
Force.
They all had, it's another
Why would
branch.
you need a space force?
Because
Exactly, because they're saying
they're
because of
trying to fight.
aliens, people outside of coming in,
But that's not why. They trying to fight. They want to fight
they're gonna try to fight
Jesus when he
Jesus,
comes.
God,
When he
you
come back.
are
Look,
what?
look, this-
Yeah, that's
They
what
really do
want.
have the military's coming out with another branch, and it is like the Space
Yeah,
Force. They're gonna
right.
be doing stuff
It
in
was on the
space.
news.
Cause they saying modern day warfare, a lot of stuff is gonna be dealt with out of space, satellites
Yeah.
and all of that. So they are. I did hear that, but I don't know
But they
about the
telling you-
aliens and fighting Jesus and all
But
of
what
that
they're
stuff.
telling you is it's gonna be, which is partly true. It is partly a little bit. They're gonna be fighting from space like other nations, or maybe aliens, or mostly other nations.
Well, if the Earth is
But
flat,
the
they don't have
real
a
reason
space
is
then.
behind Jesus. That's the real reason why they building the Space Force. But they won't tell you that. Because they know the end is almost near, and they wanna. And
Well, how could they think that a space force could take on Jesus?
They gotta
Like-
try. I don't know. This is the thing.
Yeah, we
They're
don't
gonna
know.
try. They're desperate. They're trying to do everything possible.
How Jesus gonna get through the Van Allen
They're
belt?
desperate. How what?
Fourth, don't even entertain his question.
Alright,
Alright.
I'm just joking.
He's so funny. I love y'all. Alright. Alright, so we have Richard E. Berg, then we have JPL founded. Then in 1946, we get our UN logo. So, I don't know if y'all know what our UN logo looks like. It looks just like the flat earth depicting. After that, we get CERN. Disney and Werner von Braun become in partnership, okay? And that's in 1954. So, Berg goes there in 1928, then he sends the military there after that. Let's see, okay, we went north and south 1926, Berg explores in 1928, then we get our UN logo in 1946, then we have Disney and Van Braun in 1954. If we look up on his gravestone, he put Psalms 19:1 when he died. Okay?
Alright, what's that?
Psalms 19:1.
What does that say?
Psalms 19:1 is also what my son's school goes by, but they take out this word. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament shows his handiwork.
Okay.
Right there. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament shows his handiwork. So on his
The
deathbed,
firmament.
after he's dead,
Not
he makes sure to
space.
place
What-
on there that there is no space,
There
that
ain't no
there is
space.
a
The
firmament, that
firmament.
God created the
The
firmament.
firmament does
And
it.
glory to God.
So what is the firmament?
The firmament
Is
is.
a
That's what
zone.
I'm confused about.
What is a firmament,
I
Gerald? What is a firmament?
Firmament is I don't know exactly, but
Okay.
it's a
Next.
the
Right.
moon and the sun is in the firmament and the stars. It's like it's a thick thing that they
It's
can't
like a
get
dome.
to. It's like a dome. It's clear. I don't know
Alright.
what
So
it is.
it's
I don't
like
know
a-
what it's made out of. I can't tell you the material, but it's clear.
Alright.
You can see through it.
Alright.
Cause you can see the water. When you're looking at, see that? That's water up there.
But you
right?
can't
That
go
blue
through it.
sky up there, that's probably water.
But they said they got
That's
water
above
in the
the firmament.
firmament.
Water above,
Yeah.
water below.
And below, yeah.
Well,
It's
Well, they
water
do
on
have
top.
water above.
Yeah, they got-
Water evaporates, it gets stuck, the
Somebody
clouds,
else was
and
saying
Yeah,
when
that.
it gets too heavy, it falls
Yeah,
down.
true, but they
Because
got
the
water.
gravity brings that rain down because it gets too heavy.
But they got water on top of the firmament.
Well, how does that get there?
It was created there. I don't know.
God said he put it there
Yeah,
whenever
put
he
it there.
created in Genesis 1.
Yeah.
That's what we read
So-
the other day.
So,
too.
alright, so they got the dome.
But it's not the
And
water.
then
You
it-
see that blue sky? All right. When you talking about them rain clouds, there's no them clouds there that turn purple and dark and it get heavy and the rain drops. I'm talking about the water that's stuck, that stays up there forever until whenever God says it. But the water that's
Before he
created up
opened
there.
up the
Yeah,
windows
that
and he
water up
flooded
there,
the
see that
earth.
blue sky up there?
That's where the
probably
water
No,
from
you
the
know what the
flooded
blue's
earth.
from?
What?
The blue is from the reflection off the water on Earth. That's why the sky is
Nah.
blue.
No. I don't think that. I don't believe that.
They say that's how the water's
Ain't
blue
gonna
is from the
reflect that,
reflection
yeah.
of the sky.
It ain't gonna reflect that fault.
Alright,
Yes.
so let's think about this. And so Richard E. Burke goes there, 1946, they create the logo. 1945 is when they start doing their atmospheric test. That's when they did their first one. On the atmospheric test, they did 32 tests. Okay, well, 32 operations, so let me be clear. They did 32 operations. The first one was Trinity, then we had Operations Crossroads, Operation Sandstone, Operation Ranger. So I'm all mixed up. Operation Greenhouse, Buster, Tumbler, Ivy, Upshot, Castle, Teapot, Wigworm, Project 56, Operation Red Wing, Project 57, Operation Plum, Project 58, Operation Hard Dock 1 and Operation Hard Dock 2, Operation Argus, then we had Operation Nougat, Operation Sunbeam, Dominic, Fishbowl, Storax, Roller Coaster, Niblick, Whitstone, Flintlock, Latchkey, Cross Tie, and Bowline. So there was 32 in all of all the operations that they did to go shooting nuclear missiles up in the sky, in the atmosphere, in our waters, and on the land, and in mountains. These were all done to see how high they can go, if they can break the firmament, see what was below, what's in the mountains,
But why
test
would
the
they see
nuclear
it?
missiles. A lot of them you could see at that time, depending on what area you were in whenever they did them.
When they hit the.
A lot of these
where
were
did the nuclear
done.
fallout went at?
I'm sorry.
Where did the fallout go at? If you hit that thing at the top and then the nuclear explode, where the radiation and everything, where it went?
I don't know.
So if nothing could escape this dome,
Yeah.
all the pollution and everything, don't you think it all build up until we, I mean, where's that going? It's gotta be,
What helps pollution? With the oxygen pollution, the air pollution?
there's anything going in
Well,
the air,
trees.
like.
I mean, we have trees. That's
I
what
mean,
helps
if ain't
with our
nothing-
oxygen, our air. And I mean, in the water, we have all our clams and oysters and everything else that filters our water.
No, but he was saying that they explode nuclear missiles trying to hit the firmament,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't, and it just explodes on the firmament. Then you got all this what you call it? Radioactive material
Yeah, radiation.
falling back to the ground, right?
You have to ask NASA what they.
So where they did it at, it doesn't,
I mean,
it don't have
most
people?
of these were all done. Most of these were all done here in Area 51.
So how
So
wide is
all of the
Area
United
51?
States should be contaminated.
No, it's just
Huh.
those local areas of contamination. Wherever it hits, just that local area will have radiation. We can't go back in that area.
But if we got 32 launches,
There might not be big nuclear weapons.
32, but you gotta think, that's 32 launches. Some of them have 40 tests. That's more launches than that. There's over 1,000 something. I wanted to add them all up, but I didn't get to. There's probably over 1,000 here.
launches.
46, 47, 38, 48, 47, 11, 31. Each of them were different sizes. I do have pictures of all of them, but it would have just made everything so much longer.
They
and
probably
further.
got-
It's
yeah, they
research
probably
you can do
small
on
vessels.
Wikipedia yourself.
So they weren't able to break free of the firmament?
No, they've made cracks, but they've never been able to break
So
through.
is the sun
The
round?
cracks are fixed now, though.
The sun's round?
Mhm.
The moon's round?
The same size.
Huh?
They're the same
The
size.
facts of the cracks are fixed, huh? So I heard that the cracks are fixed. And that, you can see where they were fixed at or something, huh? Like you could tell just to prove
Cracks
that.
in what?
Just the firmament. That's what I hear. I don't
In
know if
this glass
that's
dome that's over there.
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have all that. I did pull up that one of these tests, or quite a few of these tests, were also initiated with Lockheed, the company.
Mhm.
Another thing to think about and look at is the Antarctic bases. When you look at the Antarctic bases and the Antarctic treaty, you're going to see that when they first started out, they had 53 countries and they had 55 Antarctic stations. Now, go ahead.
Government documents admit, what?
I can show you some government documents.
CIA, okay.
They had, the UN, the United Nations composite is of 193 countries. 8 of them aren't joined. So there's 8 countries that are in the United Nations. Remember we were discussing that, I wasn't sure, I said, well, I'll look it up. So it's 193 countries that are part of the United Nations and only 8 aren't. Some of the things that I thought to look into was different bases that are in Antarctica that are through the United States, through Russia, through China, through all the different countries, and see how many bases they are and how far apart they are, how big their bases are, how many people live on those bases, because just one base, 4,000 people live on it. So you can imagine how many people actually do live and work in Antarctica. We have the Arctic Whiskey Station, the Carlini Base, the Base President, the Nelson Island, the King George Island, South Shetland Island, Elephant Island, Laurie Island, South George Island, Cook Island, Base Maramadio. So there's multiple. I have many written down here.
Oh, for Antarctica Island?
For Antarctica.
So that would be around the world, huh? You say
all around, correct.
So there were people would think we crazy because the round world would say Antarctica's only right here. So you talking about these little places, you talking about all over the world.
Correct.
How can you go somewhere with that? They would laugh us to death.
Whenever
I'm not saying you're not true. I'm just saying that's what they would do. They would laugh at us.
The people that live in Antarctica, most of them know what's really going on and what's happening. If you look in all the books here at the library, I was able to pull up a bunch of information. Unfortunately, it's all in the kids section. Information about Antarctica, the size of the bases, the amount of people. It doesn't even, they showed that Antarctica, only a little bit piece more than Antarctica was the size of the United States, while other books, and it's been proven that Antarctica, just one iceberg is the size of the United States. So how can the whole Antarctica almost be the size of the United States when one iceberg is almost the size?
In order to establish these bases, don't they have to scale that ice wall?
Some parts, yes. Most parts, they have to scale that ice wall, and it's very high, correct.
I thought you said the ice wall was
I'll show you pictures.
20, 30 feet.
I thought it was like 200 feet or something.
Yeah, it's pretty
It's
high.
200 feet?
It's pretty high.
And what's on the other side? What's
There's a whole another
on the
land.
other side is this ice? Oh.
So there's no dome over the ice wall?
Wait a minute. You could fall off if you scale that ice wall.
No,
No.
because then you hit a dome.
Hit a what?
A
The
dome.
dome. The 4 corners and then the dome.
Well, you can hurt your head, I guess.
Yeah, just don't run into it.
The dome.
Alright,
Make
well
sure
look.
you see it
You would
before you
actually
hit
see
it.
the dome?
I don't know, have y'all been there?
Well, I mean, that's what they
I mean,
they
the
run
dome-
ones
If
for
there
you
was
now,
a dome
huh?
right here, how would you get to the ice wall?
What you mean?
If there was a dome coming
No, it's
all
the
the
ice wall and then the dome.
Ice wall.
The ice wall.
Yeah.
and
You
the
can't
dome.
go off of each person's depiction, you have to go off
It's
of the
ice wall and
scriptures.
then the
The
dome.
ice wall, then the dome. The dome probably comes from here, starts at these.
No,
right
it's
here.
a whole big landmass.
If it was, well, a dome, that wouldn't be
Well, right
if
here.
it was square, it wouldn't be.
Yeah, well, however, but it comes at the end of the land probably. See where the land is right here? Yeah, this is the ice wall, and then and they got some land after that. And then I guess so the ice wall would come maybe like that, I guess.
Well, you don't think that sun being
I'm
that
just
close
kidding.
to that ice would melt that ice right there?
It's
Look, the whole time it's that close to the ice.
It's not touching
It
it,
does
it's
melt
not,
sometimes.
it's not touching
Tell me
it,
something,
it
do
is
you
something.
believe that there's a space station?
Do I believe, in outer space?
Yeah.
No,
You don't believe that there's a space station?
absolutely not.
So what is that? What about the satellites? How they stay up there? You don't believe in the
The
satellites?
only thing that I believe with satellites is they put them on a balloon
balloon.
and they float them up and then they take their pictures and then that
Mike,
thing falls
you
down.
believe in satellites? You think they got satellites? Because if you believe in this dome, you can't believe in satellites.
How?
Because then they won't have no space. You don't believe they have space. So if they don't have space, how you believe in satellites? Where you think they
I
at?
don't know. They hang in there. I don't know. I don't know what they do. They hang in there. I don't know. I don't know.
There's videos you can see of the satellites, how they put them up and how they're actually there. They just put them on a balloon, they go up in the atmosphere, they take a few pictures, and then they fall down, correct?
And then could they fall down and kill somebody? Would they don't be over
They can, they find them, people find them in the woods and mountains and stuff, correct?
Oh, they don't do it over a populated area. Everywhere
No, it's just wherever it falls,
Yeah.
but they try to do it all
But they
over.
try to do it in isolated places where it could fall. And
Most of it's over
Oh, okay. The ocean.
Switzerland, Australia,
Switzerland.
and right at the end of Florida, it all goes towards what we call the Bermuda Triangle.
Well, what about us? I mean, we need satellites for everything.
No, we don't use satellites for anything, we use 5G, we use towers, that's what we use.
Towers, right.
We
Yeah,
just
but
use
I'm sure it's
towers.
got something to do with satellites, signals going from
So
that
that's fake pictures, that's all.
That's all fake.
Yeah, fake,
Correct,
okay.
that's all CGI imaging. That's where Disney comes into play. Okay, so I'm gonna run through real quick the
That's
rest of
okay.
the timeline and then show you a bit of information.
So that's where Disney come in, okay.
Okay, so we have
So
Disney
they
and
knew this
Battle.
back in 1928 that they would need Disney.
1954. They used Disney in 1954.
Used them
So-
for what?
For that, but they had a
Listen,
relationship before that.
Hey,
Hold on.
we got 8 minutes.
Okay, so we have Disney and the science and NASA working together. Byrd completes the expeditions in 1956. The NASA is completed and created in 1958. Then in 1959, 1 year later, we have our Antarctic Treaty. Okay, then after that, we have in 1966, we have Kubrick and NASA together. We have pictures and all of them together on the stage. And then in 1968, they come out with a movie called 2001 Space Odyssey. Okay, that is our first pictures and everything that we get of what we would depict space as. Then we have Apollo 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17 between the years of 1969 and 1972. Then after that, we never go back to the moon. There's no anybody going to space. There's nothing going on. And then 1981, we're given MTV, which depicts space, people walking on the moon, and gives us all these analogies throughout our lives.
MTV.
MTV.
What,
They were the ones who initiated it
MTV
on
is supposed to be
TV.
music TV, but it's really Mason TV.
Correct.
Yeah,
It's owned
it's
by
okay.
the Masons, it's owned by
Okay,
Disney,
yeah.
it's all still part of NASA. They're all one entity, one company, and all work together. Here I'm gonna show you some NASA documents, government documents, and military documents, all stating what we live on, what they see, what they depict, what their scientific views are and their measurements. So this is about the aircraft models in why did it start over? Because I clicked on it, I guess. Did it go to a different video? It did. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Flat Earth.
Earthers.
Alright.
Oh, I don't believe nothing. So.
Huh?
You don't believe
So-
nothing anyways.
Look, if
You have
the
to believe the Bible.
look, if the moon was, under the dome, they'd be able to fly to it then, right? Because it ain't out in space.
Correct.
The moon is in the firmament. You can't get in the firmament.
No,
So
it's not
you-
in the firmament. The moon is outside the firmament. We can physically see.
What?
We can't touch it. We can't get that high.
So the sun. Wait a minute. I thought the moon is a light in the firmament. That's what you. And
No.
the stars are in the firmament.
No, the stars are in the firmament. We went
The-
over that last week.
The stars are in the firmament.
In the firmament.
The sun is in the
The
firmament.
sun and the moon are
Oh,
not in the firmament.
So they were before you get to the firmament.
Correct.
That's what you're saying? It's just light.
It's not inside the firmament, but inside the firmament.
That makes so much sense.
That's what
Okay,
I'm
it's not
saying.
in
They're
it.
in the
It's not
firmament.
fixed in it. It's in it. We're in it. We're in the firmament. Our land's in the firmament. Our water's in the firmament.
I'm way confused now. I thought the firmament was the
dome, the glass dome.
Yeah.
It's a dome.
Okay.
And she
So
said
you
the
said
sun
the
and
sun and moon is in
And
the
the moon is
firmament.
inside that.
It's
Right.
in
Like
there?
us.
Right.
Like us.
So that's what I'm saying. So you should be able to fly to it.
We in the, so they should be able to go to the moon and the sun.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we can't.
Why?
Because it's too far away. It's not something
It's
you
too
can
far
land
away.
on. It's too small. There's nothing
It's
you
only
can
like
land
200
on.
miles away or less or whatever.
It doesn't look small when
The firmament.
It's pretty small. When you zoom into that moon, it's pretty small. You cannot land on that moon.
You
Well,
can't.
We'll see clearly if they land on that moon.
How big is the
Yeah, you can
moon?
land on the moon. You can see the moon.
We'd have to get through that.
Because
other
if you
science
could,
part.
if you could take an airplane
So
and
you
land
say
it on
you
an
can't land on the
island like
moon?
Key West, Florida, which is only 3 miles long, if you can land a plane on little islands, you should be able to
Why
land
you
something
can't
on the
land on
moon.
the
Yeah, we'll see it.
I don't see why you can't land on the moon. The moon is,
It's just it gives off light, that's all it is.
yeah, I know.
But it looks pretty big, just.
I mean, yeah, right, it gives off light, but I'm
It
saying,
looks kinda big, but it's not.
From the naked eye, it looks big.
how big is
What
it?
do you consider big
How
though?
big is
Big enough to land something on it?
But you
Yeah,
can't
I
land
don't
on
think
it
it looks
because
big
it's light.
enough to me for that,
How can you say that?
definitely not.
You think it's
Yeah,
bigger than the
it's
state of
big.
Louisiana?
Probably, well, like Louisiana, I would say.
Yeah, I would say definitely bigger than the state of
When they
Louisiana.
landed,
But you can land on something on, you can't because it's light. That's why you can't land on it, because it's light,
It's
right?
very cold light. The sun gives off heat, and the
Okay.
moon gives off coolness.
okay.
What hangs them in the air then? If
But
they're
they
in
hang
the
upon
front of it,
nothing.
they on the, like this is the front of it, they in the inside of the front of
They're
it.
not hanging on anything.
They're just there.
And it's there, there's lights that move around.
Mm.
We read that in Genesis. Do you want me to read it over?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, well, I'll read that to you tonight on the
Alright,
phone.
okay, yeah, alright. Okay.
Alright, let's move on.
I say,
Uh-huh.
when the president said that, one of our initiatives was to put our man on the moon. Okay?
That's been his initiative for a year and a half now.
But it was simple. It was simple.
So why they
They
forgot?
didn't have to
And
go
why they
through no
doing it?
Van Allen belt.
And
So why they can't
no,
do
they
it
didn't have to go
now?
through all that.
So-
They had the technology. that
So why they
have
can't
now.
do it now?
So
They
it
have
was
nothing
simple.
now.
There's no point of going to the moon. There's nothing there.
'Cause they
It'd be a
can't.
waste of money.
Because they can't.
They
That's
can't.
why they never did.
They could.
No, now they're trying to go to Mars and tell you they're going to Mars and Venus. They
All
couldn't
right.
even go to the moon. How they
If
gonna
they
go to
went
Mars
to
and
the
Venus?
moon,
You gotta get
why was the
outside the
flag
firmament
waved?
to
If
go to
there's no
Mars.
air
I'm not
It's
seeing all that. Hey,
And
it could be
Venus.
possible they faked it, but I think they got the technology to do so now.
So why they?
That was in the 60s.
Okay.
If they did fake it, then
They tell you the technology they had in the 60s, they don't have anymore, and they don't know what they did with any of it, and they don't know what they did with any of the paperwork. It all just disappeared.
Well, they got the technology to
So-
fake it now. They can fake it a lot better
Yeah,
now.
yeah, they do.
Yeah,
They
they
put a
faked it
car
right
out
there.
there. They just put the Tesla car out there and said, "Oh, look, the car is out in space." Do you really think that car was out in space?
Yeah.
You really do? You really
No.
think they had a car out in space?
yeah.
Yeah.
Why would they lie?
Why would they lie?
Why they lie?
Why they? Yeah. Well, I mean,
They lie
that's just
about
something.
everything.
Tesla, they
You
big
eat-
technology
Tesla's the
company,
one.
so they
Most
wanted to
likely-
do something to put their,
Why would they lie to us? Just like you might be eating fake meat.
Oh, wait, you are.
Clone meat. You eating a cow that was cloned. It's not even real meat. That's what we probably eating right now. We don't even know.
exactly what you're eating.
So what
The
you
government-
mean?
I'm saying that they have technology. They just told us about this, that they could make
Clone
real
animals.
meat, make fake meat look like
I,
real
well,
meat.
I understand
All right,
that,
but they've
but I
been
mean,
doing that. Everything
what's
they
that
tell
got to
us,
do
like
with?
everything they tell us, they done been did. They done did 20 years or before. They might with that stuff that they just come out with. They really been doing that.
Yeah,
They just tell us that. So you eating fake meat, and you don't even know that. You probably been eating fake meat for
Your whole
a
life.
decades, for a while, and that's probably why you got a lot of people getting cancer and stuff. All that fake meat that they
Colon
created.
problem.
yeah, well, people are
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
getting cancer now.
Yeah.
I think it's from the
You
radiation
know,
when it was exploding all
That's
stuff.
it.
from
in
all
the air.
that's from all kinds
Oh,
of
no,
stuff.
that's from the radiation from your phone.
Well, that's what I'm
that
saying.
you have
The
right
government
there.
lied to you
Your
about a lot of
computers.
stuff.
From all these plants,
Your
and
microwave.
all kinds of
Right,
stuff you
true.
get cancer from. I mean,
All of it.
But my
all of it.
point
You're about
is,
to get it way more.
You say,
time.
why would they lie to us? That's what I'm saying. They lie to us all the time.
All
The
the
government lied to us all the time about a lot of stuff.
yeah, but
Everything.
you talking about launching something in space as
Sorry,
like a
government, you
car,
lie about
or-
everything.
I know the government lies about shit. I ain't saying that.
Yeah.
Tesla ain't the government. That's a company.
That's a company. Who
Yeah.
runs that company?
I don't know.
That's what
So-
you need
They
to
in
know.
the cahoots with the
Well, I don't
government.
know.
That's
I
what you
remember
need
they
to
were
know.
showing the guy that owned it, but I don't.
I know him very well, and
Well,
he'll
who
tell
is
you
it?
himself that it's CGI. Everything's CGI. Oh, it looks fake.
Who runs the
It's
government? The elite.
I don't know.
Okay.
I
So
ain't-
that's just like the elite and the government. It's the same thing.
I
They
mean-
like hand in hand.
Okay, we said we
well-
only have a few minutes. The
Well,
grade's
that's
gonna be
good, but
closing.
what you gotta realize is that this is a worldwide thing. It's not just
What's the worldwide thing? What are you
the
talking about?
deception.
Yeah, I know
It's a
that.
worldwide
Right.
thing. It's just not a
So
US
China
thing.
didn't go to the moon yet last week.
No, Nope, in their pictures, they do better CGI than what
China
we
said they
do.
went to the moon last week. They ain't go. Everybody's in on
So
it.
it's a worldwide.
Yeah.
So, do you believe that we've been to the moon?
So who's powerful enough to have a deception for the whole world?
Government.
The government, the
Television,
this is-
indoctrination.
the Catholic
Schools.
Church,
I think the government's
The
powerful, but not that
the
powerful.
Lutherans, the Masons, and the fake Jews. All 5 of them is controlling this world. The fake, the Masons, the Lutherans, the Jews, the elite, and the governments are all in cahoot. They all there.
I don't see
The
how you
enemy
get
of
the
the people.
cooperation of all them.
It's all a lot of
It
research.
covers, yeah.
It comes in with a lot
no.
of research. If you really want to know, it's there. The information is all there. The connections are all there. The
Yeah, but
names are all
you're just
there.
getting information that somebody else wrote. Like, it ain't like real facts. I mean, there's no pictures of the thing, the firmament or whatever. Has anybody ever touched it?
All right, have you? How you know that though? How you know the same thing, vice versa? How you just
The
get
picture
images
of
and
Mars?
pictures from them? How you know it's true that they?
Because, well, I really don't know. None of us know for a fact.
Right, so you gotta go
But
by what
no,
they say.
they got a lot of scientific
So
proof
you
that
go by
proves
what
that.
they say, or
This
go
ain't,
by-
none of this is scientific proof.
Not yet.
But it's biblical.
Not yet.
I get it.
But we already discussed that this book's deceiving, so why would you
No,
believe
I
something
didn't
that's
say that.
deceiving?
Y'all say that. I
No,
didn't
but
say
you said there's
y'all said that.
You
All
said there's
y'all
parts
say
in
that.
there
I didn't
that-
say that. I didn't say that. I didn't say this. Now, it's been translated and some of the understandings might have been lost or all, but this is not. This
so
is
that
true.
makes it deceiving right
No,
there.
not really. It's got to study. It ain't that hard. You just got to study and
Seek truth
and
in
seek
all
truth. You
things.
can study and see
And
what
have
it's saying in their
discernment.
language.
You have to
And-
pray.
Yeah, but if you
and
know-
Hebrew language, and you'll get the better understanding.
If you
So-
know you got a book
Read.
that's missing stuff out of it,
Then I know I need to go
that's
look.
deceiving.
No, I just know that the devil's
No.
a deceiver. He comes here to kill, steal, destroy, and deceive.
Okay.
So he has to give us this book, but God didn't say, you can't deceive them because he's here to deceive all. So you have to have discernment,
That's
ask
his
for
job to
discernment,
do with
and to be
deceiving.
able to
Well,
know and see
well,
truth
that's
in
what
all
I'm saying.
things.
He wants
That ain't-
as many souls as can to go to hell. That's what he wants you to be lost. That's because he knows that hurts God.
Yeah.
Because God loves you, He wants nobody to
He's
be
trying to
lost.
win, but we
Yeah.
already know.
But
he
that's
wins.
your choice. He loves you so much, He
But
gonna
you
give
have
you
the
your
choice.
choice.
So the
Right.
devil makes this book deceiving.
No. Well, no, the devil don't make this book deceiving.
The people.
Well, you can say in a way because the
Right.
people
He
he
had
deceives people and people do. You could say that in a sense.
Well, we got off that.
But
We
yeah,
got off
yeah, we got that. But
When you first started, you said that somebody had a balloon and they went up.
Alec Picard.
And how high they had to go?
He went, his first approach was
So like 10 miles.
August Picard. He went
Is that oxygen 10 miles up?
Thought-
There's
10
no
miles
oxygen.
up.
Huh?
He
There's
went
no
10
oxygen
miles.
up there, huh?
how did he monitor that? And
He
what did he use to breathe?
You'd have to go on the website to look at all his information. It's
Oh.
there.
No,
I just
it
put
was-
2
I
pictures
don't.
on here, and he was actually
He's
in like
asking
a
about the
capsule.
oxygen.
Right, to go to be that high up, you had to
He was
have
in some type of capsule, but I know when he did get out, he was disoriented. He was
What is
not
that?
feeling well.
Oh,
And I know that a guy that I'm friends with now, he has brought a rocket up, and same thing happened with him. He was only able to go so many miles
The
up.
guys that you were friends with bought a rocket.
He made a rocket, and
And
he's
he
making
went
another
so if he
rocket.
make another rocket, ask him, can I come with him?
We can all go there and
Okay, I wanna
watch.
go with
We
it.
can
I wanna
all
go
No,
there
we
and
can
watch.
watch it. We going up.
I want to go up with him.
I'm not going up. The new one he's making, he's on the outside of the thing where he can see.
Wait,
He's
you
gonna be in a
trying to tell me
spacesuit.
somebody?
Outside.
He gonna be in a space
What are you
suit.
riding it like a horse?
He gonna be-
No, he's gonna be on the outside. He showed me a depiction of it. I don't know what he's gonna do or how he does it.
riding them.
How much money you gotta have to do
He's
that?
got
He
the money apparently.
He could
He's
be-
a very nice
Well, he could
guy.
be doing some Christian things with that money, not spending on a
He
rocket.
could be, but I guess he wants to try and
Yes, I
show
like
people what it is.
this
Well, he wants his own evidence.
I like
He wants
it,
his
man.
own evidence. He wants to see for himself. There's many people who are doing it and creating
It's
rockets
true,
that
though.
are small, that are
Yeah.
going up. One person did create one and it hit the dome. They actually, you can see it's got cameras on there and it hits. and then it comes back down. So, I mean, it's a lot of research. A lot of people are out here doing their own research, testing things for themselves, putting their own money into this to be able to prove to their family members or their loved ones or whoever, everyone else, that NASA is a lie, that we can do these things ourselves and see these things
You're
for
gonna have them
ourselves.
come after you with all that, girl.
Alright, so these are some documents that stated, the rotation or non-rotation. It says this report documents the derivation and definition of the linear aircraft model for a rigid aircraft of constant mass flying over a flat, non-rotating Earth.
What time y'all wanna meet next Saturday?
3, unless we see what time Jerry work, cause see if Jerry could come.
Okay,
If
the
not-
library closes at 5.
Oh, you know what, Jerry? Yeah, we do 3 to 5.
I just wanna let you know, the library closes at 5.
We gonna do
Yeah,
3
you
to
gotta be on
5.
time.
3 to 5?
You gotta be on
We're
time.
gonna check. Yeah, the reason why I wasn't on time today, if I would have been 3 o'clock, I would have been on time. Cause usually that's what me and Mike do. After we go get out of church, we eat, and
Okay.
I was eating.
Yeah, I
and
didn't
then
get to go this morning.
yeah,
I was so
and
tired
then-
from getting all this together,
And
so I didn't
you
go to
know what I'm
Bible
saying?
study
Yeah,
this morning.
so but 3 o'clock, I'm gonna be there.
You
If
got
it's 2
enough,
o'clock,
that's enough time for you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Wait.
No matter what, it's all gonna be, I mean, we
3 to
have so
5.
much
This room right
information.
here, this room.
That's-
We might have
We
more
only
people.
skimmed the
Even if we
surface,
have
but I
just
got a
more
lot more
people, I can
questions, you
stay
know
on
that.
that.
I know, everybody's got a million questions.
All right.
I know.
All right, now next week is gonna be the scientific, right? This was the historical. Next week is gonna be mostly scientific. I know we're gonna go off. Like,
And remember, I'm not a scientist.
Yes. Yeah,
I'm
but,
not a mathematician.
but you're gonna give us
I'm
the scientific
a-
deal.
Well, if the
I do
Saints
law.
are playing next
You do law, I
Saturday,
can do accounting.
I might
I know,
watch the
yeah,
Saints
but-
game.
Yeah, I hear you.
We'll be at Bible study, rain or shine, Saints game, no Saints game.
Oh yeah, I'm coming no matter what.
End of
I don't
the
care if the
world
Saints
will
playing.
be
I mean, I
here.
could find out who win later. I don't care.
Alright, y'all have a blessing.
It's just another deception of Saints games, you know?
Right,
that,
it's something else.
Well, it
to
is,
keep
yeah.
you
Nobody
completely
win them
not
games.
paying
That's all set up
attention
who
on
win
the other side.
anyway. All that set up. Yeah.
Thanks, y'all. Hope everything,
Well, that's
y'all
all.
like
If
it.
it's set up, as
It
long
was
as they
good.
make New Orleans win, I don't care.
Chaos with more
Oh,
people.
yeah.
Y'all have a
My
blessed
fingers
day.
All right.
Watch